back and spoken with your boys for episode number 8. Sit back, relax, enjoy the vibes with Vibe Sports Talks. Huey, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's get right on in. We are going to start with the NBA segment of this episode, and we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I want to start off, Maddie. Let me hear your thoughts on that man, James Harden.
He wilded.
He wilded.
He's wilded now. He clearly wants out. Doesn't want to be there. Can't be mad at him. Everyone, that's time in the age that we're in. If you want out, you
cause
get
a problem
out.
real quick, right?
Quick.
You get out.
They're kind of been like not a rebuild, but almost like a rebuild. They're kind of trying to bring in like a bunch of like a veteran kind of like. I don't know exactly. Like you said, a weird spot where he's in a time where he needs to win now.
Yeah.
He's only getting older. I'm not saying he's decreasing at all as a player. He's still at that MVP caliber type of style, but definitely no time to be in Houston at that point of his career.
You think it's over? Championship window's closing Houston?
Oh yeah, definitely. For a while, you got the Lakers, you got the Warriors coming back. Been gone for a while, a long time. I think Philly. He wants to go to Philly. I don't think Philly is a good choice for him either.
I like Philly for him.
I honestly, if I was him, I'd almost just go to like a place like New York and just take over
completely.
Take your 50 points and just hope somebody just maybe next year comes joins you. And I don't know, but he's in a tough position. I don't think a lot of people want to play with him either. So I don't know.
I feel it. I actually like him going to Philly. I think that'd be a good spot for him. Honestly, I think when news broke earlier in the offseason about him wanting to either go to Philly or Brooklyn, and everyone was screaming Brooklyn, I actually preferred Philly for him. Because I think if he took over as like the point guard over there, handled the ball, and move Ben Simmons out of the point guard role, and you got him, Joel, and Ben, that big three would be pretty nasty. I definitely think he wants out. The crazy thing is, I think if he was like bought into Houston and like showed up, and him, John Wall, and Cousins were all healthy this year, I think they'd likely be a threat in the West. Not like a major threat, but I definitely could see them easily pushing for a playoff spot.
A 3-4 seed?
Like 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range. I wouldn't see them being like a powerhouse in the West like the Lakers or like the Nuggets even. I don't think they'd be like a top 2 seed, but I think it would work. But like you said,
match up with the Warriors.
Yeah, they definitely would. Honestly,
in that category right
there.
No,
yeah, definitely. I just think his time in Houston might be coming to an end, and I think he sees it too. And he wants to get himself in the best position to win a ship, and he doesn't care if he has to go team up with people like. That's the new way of the NBA. Like, go team up with the best guys, and who cares what people have to say about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think his time in Houston is just coming to an end. I think everything is just at that point now where it's just not the move for them anymore, you know what I mean?
For sure. And,
I would definitely like to see him get out of there, too, because he's still a top 5 talent in the NBA right now.
I just don't think nobody wants to really play with that pussy, so not a really big fan
of that guy. Bro, I think he's a bigger problem than most people think.
That's what I'm saying. No one's play with this sorry ass.
Yeah.
But, hey, we'll see. Time will tell.
No, yeah, but... Speaking of Houston, they made the trade, like I just talked about. John Wall is going to be there. They traded not CP, they traded him the year before, but they traded Russ for John Wall and a first rounder.
I like this trade for Russ.
I like this trade for Russ, but I also did like it for Houston getting John Wall and a first rounder. If John Wall's healthy, he's definitely a major player. And they get the first round pick out of it. We put this on the story asking our fans and everybody what they thought of the trade, and it seemed like a lot of people preferred it for Houston. Was pretty interesting.
Oh, for sure.
It was definitely pretty interesting, but I really do like the trade for Russ as well. I think him and Brad Beal is a nasty
people are
backcourt.
sleeping on that.
Yeah, I think he's a nasty backcourt. If they could just get a third wheel out there to help him out, I think there will be a problem in the East, especially because the East is so weak, honestly.
Oh,
so
for sure.
I think they can make some noise in the East with Russ and Brad Beal as that backcourt. I honestly think this is going to be one of those rare moments, like in all the sports, where it's a win-win for both teams. Like a lot of trades is usually one lopsided to one team, but I think it's a good trade for both.
I think Wizards are going to be a very slept-on team next year.
Yeah, especially in the East.
I think they can make a deep run on some just like what the fuck, where'd they come from type of shit.
Yeah.
And Russ just taking over on the secret, on the low, winning games.
The one thing though that scares me about that is Russ has never been able to take the second seat to a real superstar, and Brad Beal is a superstar. He's the man of that team. I think Russ is gonna have.
So you're saying that Harden took the seat back when they were playing together?
Oh no! I think it was kind of like a 1A 1B situation.
Okay.
But I think Westbrook needs to swallow a little bit of his pride. He's still a top level player in the league. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not a number 1 option. For most teams, he is. But with Brad Beal, I think Brad Beal is the young superstar on that team, and he kind of needs to just take that back seat in a way to Brad Beal and like it's Brad Beal's team. He's got the keys. You're in the passenger seat.
For
You're
sure.
directing traffic in a way. You know what I mean? So I think if he can figure that out, and them two in the backcourt could figure out how to work together, I think that trade's going to be real good for Washington. But I also, like I said, I really like it for Houston. If John Wall can stay healthy with DeMarcus and Harden comes and buys in, I think it's one of those rare situations where it's a win-win for both teams.
100%.
I definitely think it was a little bit shocking how quickly that trade came together too. It was
for sure.
It was a quick trade.
But, it was pretty clear that he wanted out. Unlike Harden, where you're just like not showing up, kind of keeping it like And like just recently today, ladies and gentlemen, he said that he wants to go to Philly or go to a contender.
Yeah.
Unlike Russ was I'm out, get me somewhere and figure it
out. I'll figure it out myself. And I kind of like that. I think
same.
I think it's gonna work out for us too.
Oh, for sure.
Because
like I love that trade for him.
And it's underrated. People have talked about it a little bit, but I don't think they've talked about it enough. Is Russ is reuniting with Scott Brooks, his former coach from OKC. They have the same medical staff over in Washington that they had with Scott Brooks and the Thunder for Russ. A lot of familiar faces Russ gets to see. He even touched on it in his interview when he came over to Washington. It was nice to see familiar faces and head coach he's played for in the past and really likes playing for. I really think it's going to be a win-win. I like the trade for both teams in this situation, which is pretty crazy because a lot of time it really is lopsided. So it's going to be interesting to see how both those play out. But speaking of people that Russ has played with, what are your thoughts, Maddie, on PG, on all the smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson throwing shade at the Clippers and Doc Rivers?
I think he threw a lot of shade, a lot of unnecessary shade, throwing a lot of shade and forgetting about himself, throwing up shots, hitting the side of the backboard and shit. I mean, I don't think Doc drew that up.
No, yeah.
So, I mean, it can go. You can see both sides. Yeah, I'm sure Doc had his fucking problems, but then it's like I said. I mean, PG, what the fuck you on the court when it showed up?
No,
like,
yeah,
you weren't there.
Doc doesn't play for you.
And then Doc came out and said, "It's not gonna be much different." Ty was sitting.
Lue was sitting right next to me on the bench. Yeah, that was hella funny.
I think that's just funny, just him trying to want to be like protect his own self. But I mean, we'll see. It could be Ty could play a whole entire different type of style. So. But honestly, I think it's really just PG looking funny as fuck, like a clown, because he just played pathetic in the playoffs, and you guys blew a 3-1 lead, so it's just like, all right, Doc ain't out there balling, it's you out there balling.
Yeah.
Like, he might be, like, making a couple calls, but in reality, like, well, it's time you're going up and down the court, just hooping, like, doing your, feel me hooping, like, NBA, like, going up and down the court.
I think it's funny, too, that, like, Paul George gave himself the nickname Playoff P, and then ever since he's done that, like, he hasn't shown up in the playoffs for nobody.
Pussy number 2 behind Harden.
Honestly, I know I'm gonna probably get a lot of flack for this, but bro, I think the Clippers are hyped. They were hyped last year to me, and I think they're hyped again this year. Realistically,
I just think Paul George, honestly, that we're on his topic, I just think he personally is overhyped, and I think his name makes that team overhyped.
No, I feel that.
Take Paul George off that team, then really think about, okay, who's on that roster that's really like,
No, yeah,
that's a fucking threat.
No, honestly, that's what I mean. Like, other than Kawhi leading them, I think the one thing about them is they're a good regular season team. They're gonna win games because they have star power and they have guys that can go out there and hoop. But I think when it comes down to it in the playoffs and the playoff games slow down a little bit and it's a little more physical, a little more grinded out, win your games like battling night in and night out. I really don't think that they're built for that, and I think they're overhyped, bro. Like, I still think they're probably gonna be a top 4 seed in the West, which wouldn't surprise me for them to be a top 4 seed. But I think once playoffs come around again, unless Kawhi does a big carry job like he did for the Raptors, I really just am not afraid, or I'm not buying into that Clippers roster and that team doing anything in the playoffs. It's not a team that scares me.
Too many threats around the West for him to do that again. Too many threats. It's not the East where it's going to be just one team you got to worry about, really. This is going to be several teams every round, so I don't think he could do it.
No, yeah, I feel it. Like, I just don't know what it is with the Clippers. They just don't impress me enough.
Not at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, they'll probably play decent in the regular season, but I don't see them making too much noise once postseason comes around unless Kawhi does his job, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Carries his team like the superstar he is, because Kawhi's for sure a top 5 player in the league. Paul George on the other hand,
when he plays.
Paul George on the other hand, in my opinion, he's like maybe like he's for sure
top 25.
He's probably like top 20, top 25, yeah, like probably top 20 honestly. But even then, I could probably name a lot of guys I would take over him right now.
For sure.
So we'll see how that plays out for them in the West. Another interesting topic in the West that is so funny to me is ESPN has the Warriors projected to finish second to last in the Western Conference and finish 14th out of 15 teams. I think that is just... I want to hear your thoughts on it first, but...
Okay, they're definitely not going to be fucking ass cheeks like last year.
Yeah.
They're definitely not going to win hella games. They're definitely going to be contenders. Definitely not going to win a championship. This year with Clay out, you got the Lakers.
I don't know. You retooled. You added Oubre to the roster, bro. My prediction for them, I think the Warriors are going to be like a 5 seed this year in the West.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to win games, and they're not going to be like a sorry ass team, but they're not going to be like a serious like. Okay, they're going to be contenders. We're not going to be like super serious contenders. So that makes sense. Like, they're going to be exactly the same. That 5 seed, like. But don't get me wrong. Once they get into the playoffs, they will be a playoff team. Yes,
exactly. See,
that's going to be the last teams are going to want to go up.
No, yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a team. Like, the Warriors are a team. I think, first of all, it's ridiculous that ESPN has us finishing 14th out of 15th in the West. Like, that's just trash. You look at our roster, our starting lineup is probably the 3rd or 4th best starting lineup in the Western Conference. So I don't see how we're the 2nd worst team in the Western Conference. It makes no sense to me. We retooled after the injury came around with Thompson. We went and got Oubre. Oubre had the best year of his career, arguably, last year. Wiseman's on the team. You have Curry fully healthy this season coming back. You have Draymond with all his boys back around him other than Clay, like ready, motivated after dealing with all the struggles last year by himself out on the court. I really think that the Warriors might be a team that's better suited for the playoffs than they are for the regular season. Like, that's the opposite of the Clippers. I think the Clippers are built like for a regular season, like long term. I think the Warriors may struggle a little bit, especially early in the season, gelling together and everything. But I think once the season gets rolling on, they're going to start winning games. They're going to be in the playoff race. And I think once we get into the playoffs, Curry can really solidify himself as one of the GOATs this year if he carries this team in the playoffs to, like, big things. If we get into the playoffs, I think the one thing that teams have to fear is Curry just going insano and carrying us throughout the playoffs. Sure. And honestly, I just think it's disrespectful how they're treating the Warriors with all these projections and shit. I really think we're a lot better than people are going to give us credit for. It's ridiculous.
But that just goes back to like where I was saying, like the Clippers are overhyped, so everybody's just hyping them up. And then you got the Lakers, and then you got the Nuggets, of course, and then you got your kind of spring. You got Portland in there.
Portland's definitely gonna be a player.
Still make a little bit noise.
Utah's a good team every year.
So then, like you said, you can kind of see where like, all right, they might be looking at that like 5 to 8 to maybe 9 type thing.
Yeah.
But to go all the way down to like 13, 14 is just like absurd. That's absurd.
Yeah.
So we'll see though. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up your NBA portion. Time to move on to a little bit of NFL. Right, how about them Raiders, ladies and gentlemen? Time to get right into it, to the NFL portion. It's time to get into the Arizona 49ers. Huey, what you think about my Niners staying a little competitive this week, keeping their names in there?
I'm thinking... I was talking to you about it beforehand off camera. I think the season is a wrap for the Niners. We have to win all 4 remaining games to even have a solid shot at playoffs, and that's still not guaranteed with 4 wins. You got to play Seattle. You got to play Arizona. I think y'all probably beat Dallas because they got no run defense. You probably beat Washington just because Washington's trash. I think y'all are a little better. But I would say it probably wraps for the season. Hopefully, y'all get a higher draft pick so you can get the best player available in the draft that will help y'all out. I'm thinking maybe you go quarterback. If you don't go quarterback, maybe some O-line or D-line help. But I think the season is officially now, after this loss to the Bills, a wrap for y'all. I think it's time to start looking forward to the draft, honestly, and getting people healthy for next year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. I've been saying since Bosa got injured, since episode 1, since we started this whole thing, that they should start fucking tanking immediately. That season was a wash. And like you said, this week was just a stamp on it. Winning the next 4 is going to be tremendously difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely agree on beating the Cowboys is definitely, they could do that. But the next 3, like Seattle, Arizona again.
And Washington might be tough. Washington's getting hot.
Washington, exactly. So those 3 just tough teams right there. I definitely can agree on the quarterback draft pick, but then I would probably consider DB help, safety help after that, and then maybe a center if we're going to go like O-line, specifically a center. I think D-lineman wise, I think we're good there. I think we could just maybe, we got Armstead, you got a lot of money tied up there. You're going to have to pay Bosa, so just bringing in another rookie that then, you're going to have to probably pay if they go crazy is just like doing too much. So yeah, the season's a wash, but one thing I really do want to get on to real quick is the Pretenders, the Las Vegas Pretenders, ladies and gentlemen, the Raiders. It couldn't be more handed to you guys. Somebody from the front office called down saying, send the fucking house. We need Trevor Lawrence. Because if they would have won that game, then they're in the questions for maybe getting the second pick. They could not do that. So they said, we must give him the free win. Derek Carr, you lucky son of a bitch. I'm telling you. If they fucking don't give you the free win, his fucking name is questionable right now for his job getting replaced. That was a fucking pathetic performance by him. And that defense, too, playing very questionable.
If anything, Carr played great. 3 touchdowns, went over 300 yards, ran one in for himself. That's 4 total touchdowns that he was a part of. Hey, a win's a win. End of the day, what's it say in the column? W or L, and we walked out with a W. Don't care how it happened. We got the dub. We kept the season alive. And now all that means is we have a chance, and that's all you need. All you need is a chance, and when you have it, then you can perform. And the one thing that I would say about the Raiders is, we played pretty shitty this week. We made too many mistakes mentally and physically. We had tipped passes go for interceptions. We had our number 1 draft pick fumble when we could have closed the game out. Instead, gave him life and almost cost us the win. But I think the way we bounced back and finished it off, even if it was a little help from upstairs, as long as we walked out with the W, which is what happened, I think we're solid. And
solid at all. You guys aren't solid.
The biggest thing for me is the Raiders have shown me we can beat anyone. And I think I said it last week. We could also lose to anyone. It's kind of a week-to-week thing. Don't know who we're getting.
So is that the definition of pretenders?
No. Pretenders are people who, for a fact, like the Bears, are pretenders.
Okay, but they win some and they lose some.
No, they don't. They've lost 6 straight games. They don't win some and lose some.
They lose them. What's their record?
They're 5-6.
What's your guys' record?
We're 7-5.
7-5. So okay, what if at the end of the year you guys are even? Then what?
Well, then obviously we need
both pretenders?
Listen. All I know is this. We have a very, 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 very big matchup this week. We play the Colts, who are
this is huge, ladies
are a half game ahead of us in wild card. Like I was saying, all we need is a chance, and the one thing that's in the Raiders' favor right now is the 3 teams that are in wild card contention right now ahead of us, like that have the wild card secure at the moment, the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Colts. We already beat the Browns, so if somehow we end up with the same record as them, we have that tiebreaker. We play the Colts this week, who are a half game ahead of us. If we beat them, we own that tiebreaker. We play the Dolphins not the week after, but the week after that, second to last week of the season. If we beat them, we have the tiebreaker on all 3 teams competing for the wildcard spots with us. So we control our own destiny, and we just need to show up and play like the team that showed up against Kansas City twice and not the team that showed up against Atlanta and the Jets. The one thing, like I'm saying, is the Raiders can beat anyone and lose to anyone, and it's a week-to-week thing with how we show up, and it's time now. It's crunch time. You got to show up.
Oh, for sure.
You can't just show up, lily around and fucking play around and let these teams stay in games. We could have finished the Jets. We were up 2 touchdowns on them. Could have put them away, and we let them stay in it, and you see what happens when you let teams think they have a glimmer of hope. And I think this week we'll hopefully get healthy, get everyone back. Good week of practice, come back and show the Colts in Vegas what we're about. And it's a big week for us. And the only thing that I'm happy about is we control our own destiny at this point. We don't have to hope for other teams to beat people. We got to go handle business. We go handle our own business. We will be a playoff team this year.
It won't happen. Pretenders.
And looking forward to this Sunday.
But let's run to the Raiders right now and going to be playing the Colts. And since we're on that, what about the AFC wild card? We got the Colts, we got the Raiders, we got the Dolphins,
the Browns,
we got the Browns. So all these teams you were just talking about that the Raiders play. Let me hear. Who do you think the 3 teams will be in the AFC?
I think the Browns are going to be one because right now they're 9-3.
I can agree on that.
They're 2 games ahead of the Raiders, who are on the outside looking in, and they're still a full game up on the Dolphins and the Colts. The big thing for me is I think the Browns are probably going to have that first wild card locked up, so it's coming down to the last 2 wild cards between the Raiders, the Browns, the Colts, and the Ravens. My biggest thing is the Raiders, like I said, control their own destiny, which is a good thing. The Dolphins have a very, very tough schedule to end this year out.
For sure.
They play the Chiefs this week. They finished the
season.
season.
That's a loss.
They finished the season, last game of the season, against the Bills, and they play us the second to last week of the season.
And I think that the Patriots one more time too.
So yeah, that's 4 teams that they face.
That's all losses.
Their schedule is daunting to finish the year. They play like I said, the Chiefs. That's probably a loss this week.
For sure.
They play us.
Definitely.
That's a battle. They play the Bills to end the year. That's probably a loss in my opinion because the Bills are legit contenders this year. And if they do play the Patriots, you can never count the Patriots out. So I think the Dolphins don't make the playoffs. Yeah. Schedule's too tough to finish the year. So I think my 3 playoff teams are going to be the Browns for the wild card in the AFC because we're talking about the wild card. All the divisions are pretty much locked up from what I'm thinking, unless the Titans slip up big time, and the Colts take advantage. But I think the 3 wild card teams in the AFC are going to be the Browns, the Colts, and the Raiders.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I definitely do not have the weak-ass, sorry-ass pretenders in my list no more. That was a big fluke on my end, and I apologize to everybody
he doesn't know what he's talking about still
for going on that. But my 3 teams in the AFC definitely got the Browns. Gonna have to lock in the Ravens, and then I'm gonna have to
lock in the Ravens. I thought you didn't think Lamar could make big time plays and big
time
moments.
Yeah, he's could do it in the wild card game. He could get his team to the wild card just because the AFC is just so fucking weak, and the pretenders aren't gonna fucking be able to get it done. So
I think they play the Browns.
Yeah,
that's a big game.
That is a big game. But then I have to throw the Colts in at my 3rd spot. I think they're gonna beat you guys this week. Actually, I know they're gonna beat you guys this week. No way, Derek Carr is gonna pass that fucking defense. So best of luck to you, Derek Carr. Hope your fucking back doesn't break. But now let's move on, Mr. Huey, to the NFC wild card. Now, my Super Bowl team is in the conversation. I'd love to hear where you have them at.
So, for the NFC wild card right now, the funny thing is I think the Rams end up in the wild card and the Seahawks do regain possession of the NFC West because I just think the Seahawks' schedule gets a tad bit easier going forward. And Russ, you can never count on Russ. I think he's just proven that he can carry any team, any talent level, to anywhere they need to go. Even if they're having missteps like they had the last 2 weeks, I think he'll right the ship eventually, get it all figured out, get them back in the lead. So I think I'm going to discount the Seahawks as a wild card contender because I think they're going to jump up into first in the division. I think it's going to come down to 3 teams, and these 3 teams are going to lock it in. It's going to be the Rams, it's going to be Tampa Bay, and I'm been riding the wagon all year, and they've had 3 straight losses, lost 4 of their last 5, and they're starting to show signs of leaky waters in the ship. The ship may be sinking, but I'm going to ride with them over the Vikings. I got the Cards finishing off that 3rd wildcard spot because I like the Vikings, but the Vikings kind of remind me a lot of the Raiders and Ravens right now. You really don't know what you're getting week in and week out. They can come out and they can dominate a good team and show you like, wow, like, okay, maybe they should have been in contention all year if they didn't start 0-5 or whatever it was. But at the same time, they can show up against teams like the Jags and almost slip away a loss to a 1-9 team, just like the Raiders just did, almost lose to one of the worst teams in the league. So you really don't know what you're getting with the Vikings, and I think eventually, especially too because D-Hop and Kyler Murray have been having struggles getting connected these last 3 weeks, I think they're going to right that ship, and I think my 3 wildcard teams in the NFC are going to be the Rams, Tampa, and the Cards. I think the Vikings slip out of contention, and I think the Rams drop that lead of the NFC West division to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. But I am going to keep riding with Tampa. Like I said, I have them locked in.
You got them as the first wild card right now, though? You think they're going to jump up over the NFC West contenders?
The first wild card.
I think they get the second wild card.
Yeah, I'm looking at the probably second. Definitely not the third. They'll be at the second, and I definitely think that'll be a great path for them to go to the Super Bowl, in which they will go to the Super Bowl. And if we do not go to the Super Bowl, like I said last episode, Bruce Arians going to get the fuck out of town. Because I promise you, ain't going to work next year for us. No.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. This is a big week for a lot of teams.
It's a big week for a lot of teams.
It's a big last couple weeks for a lot of teams.
Yeah, a lot of playoff implications because the AFC and the NFC right now and the wild card spots are so tightly packed. There's 3-4 teams that are half game apart from each other, battling for those 2 to 3 spots. And the one major thing is though in the NFC is there's like the Browns are 9-3. If it wasn't for the Steelers being 11-1, like there would be a little more wiggle room for that first wild card. But the AFC first wild card looks like the Browns might have it locked up. Browns shut me up a little this week. I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't dodge my criticism,
motherfuckers.
But they came out and they handled business against the Titans, which I didn't expect to see. So definitely got them locking up the wild card, and we've made our predictions now. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
For sure.
Very big week coming up, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, but one thing, though, I want to really, really get into. It's been a couple weeks since we've touched on this guys. How about the UFC? A lot of breaking news, especially with the contracts and all the fighters. Dana White recently said that 60 to 40 fighters will be gone. But before we get into that, I want to touch real quick on UFC 256 and get your thoughts on it.
UFC 256 this Saturday. Y'all got to tune in. UFC's been putting on a lot of big fights, but for UFC 256, the headliner is the flyweight title being defended again. Less than a month after he already defended it. Davison Figueiredo
is two of the biggest flyweights right now.
Oh yeah, him and Moreno. They fought the same night, less than a month ago. Davison was the headliner, and then Moreno was the third, the co-main, because they had the other flyweight title fight for the females. They both dominated their fights, and they both turned around quickly to Dana and said, "Let's run it back for the title again." I think Davidson's got some balls for that. Not messing around, saying, you know what, I'll defend it twice, and I think Moreno does as well, saying, you know what, like, I just dogged this fool, let me get the champ real quick, let me see what I can do. And I think that's going to be a good fight. I kind of like this flyweight division right now. It's starting to
get back up,
starting to bring
after
back life again. Left and stuff,
so, I'm excited for
definitely.
It. But one big fight.
The co-main in that one.
Yes. Ferguson's career on the line. And talking about Dana White's cuts, this could be one to the list if he loses possibly. Not possibly, I think it will be.
I think either one, honestly, because both Ferguson and Oliveira, I think this is possible for both of them because they've both been in this game for a while now. And they've both been fighting a lot of the top names for a long time. It's getting to that point where, like, if they don't win this one, what else do they have to prove? Do they have to go through the gauntlet again, win 3 fights just to be in the conversation for the title?
Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah,
especially if they lose again.
So I think this is going to be very
interesting.
It's a
big fight for them.
I think it definitely is going to be especially big for Ferguson. There's been a lot of talk about Oliveira possibly not coming in at the right weight because he's had trouble with that in the past. And Ferguson thinks he's going to use that as an excuse on a short-term fight to get away with some extra weight. I think if Ferguson doesn't fight because of that, he's a little bit of a bitch. I'm not going to lie. You signed a contract, even if the other dude comes in overweight, that just means more money in your pocket. Go out there and perform.
Also for Ferguson, he talks about, he still wants to fight Khabib. All right, well, then you need to show up and fight this fight and beat this guy, then you can move on to the next guy. Because he needs to win he needs to go on a 3-fight nice win streak. He needs to win this fight, and then hopefully maybe call out the winner of McGregor versus...
or the loser, because I think the winner is going to get the title shot, but
you're right.
The one thing is, this whole division for Ferguson and Oliveira is this division's got so much talent and so many possible matchups that can be made where guys like Ferguson and Oliveira, they can't have a setback. There's no room for setbacks. You have a setback, there's so many other guys Dana could turn to that are on win streaks, that are proven guys that he could be like, you know what, like, I have all the leverage here. You don't want to sign my contract?
That's
I can go talk to all these guys.
He's cutting all these fools now is because it's time for the new talent to arise.
I mean, younger, cheaper guys coming in out of the Dana White Contender Series that's on damn near every Tuesday night, every other Tuesday night. So I think he's got leverage on those younger guys to save money for the UFC, pay them less than these veterans that have been in the game. And I think Dana likes getting the new blood running through the divisions. True. I don't think he likes having all these stalemates with these old heads that are like, all right, pay me more, this, that. I think he's ready to start getting in these new young fighters and keeping the fights going. I think he likes guys that can turn around and just say, you know what, I fought a month ago, I'll fight again. I'll fight again. I think he's sick and tired of guys taking months and months off. Holding up divisions, having contract disputes. Not only just holding up the divisions, but trying to have disputes over contracts and money. Too. I think he's happy to have guys that come in and say, you know what, hand me the contract, I'll sign it right now. Exactly. So definitely very interesting. I think the Ferguson-Oliveira fight is going to be a real good one, especially as a co-main, because that fight is a headliner for most other fight nights. I think that would be the main event, but with the flyweight title being defended in less than a month again, I think that's why. But it's going to be very interesting, and there's one more fight on this card we're going to get into before we wrap this up, is Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza. Many people who don't watch UFC aren't going to know, but Kevin Holland has been blazing through this division of middleweights, and he's been showing up with impressive performances.
And I think after this fight, there's only one thing left for that man.
I think I agree with you that here's the thing. I don't think he's going to jump straight from this fight to fighting Adesanya, because like the division with Ferguson and McGregor and all them boys, there's so much talent at the top. But I think if he wins this fight and shows again that he's a problem to be reckoned with, I think he gets in the conversation where he gets to fight guys with bigger names like Darren
Till,
Till, Robert Whittaker.
Make him want to fight him.
That's the thing. Him and Adesanya have beef.
That's what I'm saying. Make him want to.
They
make
have
him
beef.
Pull him into your game.
For him to be a guy that's in the middle of the division, like I think he might be like a 14th ranked. For him to be beefing with the champion of the division and having words exchanged on live TV, I think that bodes well for him because he's starting to get that clout.
Exactly.
And I think if he wins this, that's when he's going to jump into the position to fight guys like Darren Till, Robert Whittaker, Cannonier, guys at the top of the division. He's not going to be fighting middle of the pack guys anymore. If he wins this fight and proves again, he's fought 4 times this year. I think this is going to be his 5th fight of the year. That's a crazy number. So if he proves that he can handle his shit again and wins this one, he really solidifies himself as a true contender in this division.
For sure. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for episode number 8. We appreciate all the love that you guys have been giving us. We appreciate you guys vibing out with us. But most importantly, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to all of our videos.
And definitely share it. Share the video. Anybody that likes sports, loves to talk sports, listen to sports, go ahead and share it with them. Share it with your friends, your family. Shit, people you don't even like, go ahead and send it to them anyway. We appreciate it all. We're going to sign out. We'll see y'all next week to vibe out.
Thanks for fucking with